Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Zen again. It's my second video on this channel, so if you like it, if you like the first video, please like and subscribe. So today's topic is, I wouldn't say different, but it's just, I guess I just like to talk about what helped me to have like this great mental shift, this great mental growth, in fact. Um, let's see, where do we start? Don't worry, I'm improving on articulating myself better. So, as I make more videos, there'll be more consistency, I guess. So anyway, so I discovered this thing. Well, I heard my friends speaking about it one day when we just finished our run. Called shadow work. So I just started talking about, no, I've been doing some shadow work. I'm like, I stopped for a second. I just like looked. I was like, what shadow work? Is that something to do with like shadow boxing or some shit? They were like, no, it's internal work. Um, I didn't really. I kind of wanted them to elaborate further, but it's quite a difficult topic to understand, or rather to just like explain on the spot. But basically, what they told me about it is that it'll help you mentally. It'll help you have more clarity. Know yourself better, and just like grow as a person. So yeah, I was trying to figure out myself firstly. What is shadow work? And I asked my friend. Again, I just like WhatsApp him. It's like, what's shadow work? It's like you take the darkest parts of yourself, and you bring them to light. If that makes sense. And I didn't ask him more because I felt like this was something I had to figure out on my own. So I went on, did some research, watched a few YouTube channels, and I just came to this conclusion. It's basically shadow work is all the parts of yourself that make you the person you are, but it's parts of yourself that you try to suppress, try to, you know, not let out. And this causes it to be underdeveloped traits where what you can do is you can develop them to be like some of your greatest strengths. The way I thought about it, just like a weird nerdy analogy, you think of like Deku from My Academia. When he just got All for One, All for One was this powerful quirk. In the beginning, he didn't know how to use it, and every time he needed to use it, it just destroyed him, destroyed his body, whatever. And then as the series went on, he started, working on it more, developing it more, until he was able to use it without hurting himself, like using it to his full potential. So that's basically what shadow work is. It takes your suppressed, your underdeveloped skills that you have, things that you don't want let out, the things that you might see as a weakness, as something that's bad, and you settle it, you think about it, you try to find a way to develop it so that it's one of your like your greatest strengths. So something I'm still working on is figuring it out, but I felt like just doing the shadow work, like I've only been doing it for 2 weeks, I felt like I've had the greatest mental growth in those 2 weeks than I've had my whole life. I feel that's how powerful it is. So like a few things that I've learned about myself, that I've learned just in general, especially like, once you deep dive into doing shadow work, you hear a lot about Carl Jung, one of the psychologists, I just know it's a psychologist. He developed like the process of shadow work and all sorts of psychological, what's the word? All these like mental work related studies. Like I said, I'm not good at articulating myself, but I am working on it. But yeah, anyways, a few things that I've learned. So like one thing that I've learned about myself is that I'm just lazy and I don't want to put in work. And what I need to do is just like put in work. I find a way to make that laziness make me do work. Something I'm still figuring out. One thing I've thought about was like being lazy. You find shorter ways to do things. I guess that could be a strength, but still figuring it out, still working on it. But I'm glad I'm made aware of it. Like, that's what shadow work does. Makes you aware of you know things that you didn't, or things that you try to hide about yourself. Um, Second thing I've learned, not just with shadow work, just with like reading about Carl Jung. One of the greatest things that you can do mentally is try not to control things, or try not to control outcomes. You can't control outcomes. You just have to go with what life offers. Just go with whatever happens. And you tried your best, you did what you can. But if the outcome isn't what you want, then there's nothing you can do about it. So you just have to move on and just continue life as normal. So think about it like this. You message this girl, it goes well. It seems like you hit it off, and then all of a sudden she just goes to you. Now you think to yourself, "Oh, what did I do? What could I have done better to not make her ghost me? What could I have changed in the conversation, or what in the conversation turned her away?" When in reality, she probably just didn't find you attractive. Maybe she wasn't on the same wavelength as you. She didn't find you interesting. Like, that's something that you can't really control. You can't make a person interested in you. All you can do is move on and find someone who is interested in you. And yeah, that's what I learned. You can't control any outcomes. Second thing that I've learned is letting go of external validation. That's something I've learned from Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, which I'll touch on in a later video. But you need only validation for yourself. As long as you're doing good, as long as you aren't harming others, you shouldn't care what people think about you. You should only care what you think about yourself. You should be in your own mind. Everything around you doesn't matter. Okay? People don't matter. I mean, they do matter. Their opinions don't matter. Only your opinion matters, because everyone has a different part in life. And to another person, might seem like you're going a wrong path. But when in fact you are, going the path that you were meant to go. But now they're telling you, oh no, this is not right. You should do something else. That's gonna cause conflict in your head. Like, am I doing the right thing, or am I not? That's why you only need to listen to yourself and be sure of what you want and what's your purpose in life. Last thing that I want to touch on is another thing that I've learned about myself. With doing shadow work, I've come to realize that I overreach with my goals, and this led me into discovering another topic, which I'll discuss in a few minutes. But whenever I set a plan in motion, so example, I want to start producing music. I'm not start, but work harder on producing music. I always think to myself, okay, do you know what? After I get home from work, I'm going to sit on my computer for 3 hours. I'm going to produce music. After I produce music, I'm going to DJ for an hour. After I teach for an hour, I'm gonna go jump for 2 hours. And after I jump for 2 hours, I'm gonna read for an hour. That's a lot of time. And what usually happens is I come home, I'm tired, I think of everything and I need to do and how long it's gonna take. And I'm just like, okay, not doing it today. I'll do it tomorrow. What happens? I end up never doing it. That's why I discovered this Japanese philosophy called Kaizen, which I think basically solves that overreaching problem that I discovered during shadow work. So Kaizen, if you don't know what it is, it's basically just improving yourself little by little. So getting 1% better each day. So instead of saying, oh, you know what, I'm gonna produce music for 3 hours, let's say I might just work on, a drum beat. I might just work on a quick melody for like 10, 15 minutes. And then as time progresses, you're gonna obviously increase the time. You can obviously get a bit more focused, more deep into work where you can spend, like the 3 hours eventually. So that 3 hours is not like what I need to do now. That 3 hours is like the end goal, you know. What I need to do now is just sit for a few minutes, try to make something done. So yeah, like I've said, I've learned a lot in 2 weeks. It's actually fucking insane what shadow work can do for you. But here we are. It just felt like I threw myself into a black hole, and I had nothing to do besides sit with myself and my thoughts. And it helped me realize a lot, helped me learn a lot, helped me improve. Helped me work on improving. And take whatever you want for this video. But like yeah, I recommend doing shadow work if you really struggling, with life, with focusing, with discipline, with anything. To be honest, if you're really struggling, if you um having troubles at work, if you're having relationship troubles, just sit down for 5-10 minutes a day and think to yourself, why am I in the situation? What's causing me to stay in the situation? What's causing me to not be where I want to be? Stuff like that. And then you can go to, as you like, that's just like a starter. You can even dive deeper. Shadow work is an individual thing, so each individual is going to be different. So yeah, until the next video, I'll see you guys, and I hope you can take something from this. If you've felt like you have, if you felt, like you also want to improve, if you want to be on this journey with me, you can leave a comment down below. Just know you're not alone. No one's alone. There's always a community, there's always someone who will support you. If you don't have someone to support you, I'll support you. And yeah, that's it. Until the next time.